Buenos días a todos, bienvenidos a este webinar en el cual estaremos compartiendo el proceso clave en un proceso integral de planeación como es el de la ejecución, con una plataforma que ha venido siendo utilizada de una manera muy importante para estos procesos, que es ClearPoint Strategy. Eh, la mayoría de ustedes nos conocen, hemos tenido la oportunidad de trabajar con ustedes en estos procesos, así que lo que vamos a hacer es una introducción muy rápida a lo que significa la ejecución para luego dejar a Ted Jackson, cofundador de ClearPoint Strategy, que nos comente y nos actualice sobre lo que ha pasado con esta herramienta. Déjeme recordar un momento, pues, quiénes somos. Nosotros somos AMSG Tantum Group. Yo soy Francisco Rodríguez, socio director de la compañía. Y nosotros somos una firma que por muchos años nos hemos dedicado a apoyar a las organizaciones en resolver sus temas de alta dirección. Es amplio el catálogo de servicios, pero hoy queremos destacar el tema de la planeación estratégica. La planeación estratégica como un proceso integral con el cual ya vamos a cumplir prácticamente 25 años de apoyo a las distintas organizaciones de diferentes sectores en México. Y entonces, como les comentaba, pues el objetivo de este webinar es compartir con ustedes un poco el proceso de ejecución de la estrategia y definitivamente entender cómo es que las herramientas nos ayudan en este proceso para hacer mayor efectividad en lo que hacemos. Claramente, el reto que existe cuando hablamos de planeación estratégica está en definir una estrategia clara, significativa, un norte estratégico para las organizaciones, pero es evidente que el reto mayor que existe es el de la ejecución. ¿Cómo nos aseguramos que lo definido estratégicamente se convierte en acciones específicas para las organizaciones? Les comparto aquí una lámina de una encuesta efectuada por The Conference Board en la que mostraba que dentro de las principales preocupaciones de los ejecutivos a nivel mundial está claramente los elementos asociados con la ejecución. Pueden ver ustedes que el crecimiento, la lealtad de los clientes y la facilidad de ejecución en las organizaciones es importante, pero claramente se distingue el tema de la excelencia en la ejecución y la consistencia en la ejecución como un elemento fundamental para que las organizaciones lleguen a los resultados. Ustedes conocen que existen formas integrales y diferentes metodologías para ver cómo es un proceso de estrategia estructurado. Con la mayoría de ustedes hemos trabajado una herramienta que es estructurada, que es completa, que es la excelencia en la ejecución, que básicamente nos recuerda que un proceso de integral de planeación estratégica básicamente tiene tres elementos: la planeación, la ejecución y el aprendizaje. Pues cuando estamos hablando de planeación, como ya sabemos, formulamos la estrategia y definimos un marco de referencia, cómo podamos traducir esa estrategia, convirtiéndola en objetivos, en indicadores, en metas. Y luego el proceso de ejecución, que es absolutamente fundamental, y es cómo logramos que la organización como un todo se alinee a esa definición estratégica. Un elemento también central aquí es la alineación de las operaciones para asegurar que todo lo que hacemos en el día a día en las organizaciones pues esté debidamente alineada con ese marco estratégico. Y pues la parte fundamental de aprendizaje de gestión, que tiene que ver con cómo vamos monitoreando esa evolución que va teniendo la ejecución de la estrategia y por supuesto qué se requiere para actualizarlo. Esta es una herramienta que, como sabemos, ayuda a ver de una manera integral el proceso de planeación estratégica de la compañía. Y entonces aquí nos empieza a dar los elementos claves y centrales a partir de los cuales como que empieza a tener diente ese proceso de estrategia. Cuando ya tenemos definida una estrategia que la traducimos en un mapa estratégico que contempla los distintos objetivos a los distintos niveles en las distintas perspectivas que ya conocemos, y para cada uno de esos objetivos estratégicos pues definimos unos indicadores, la forma como realmente vamos a monitorear el desempeño de esos objetivos estratégicos, y para cada uno de esos indicadores, pues establecemos unas metas de mediano, de corto, de mediano y de largo plazo. Y lo más importante en este proceso, cómo definimos unas iniciativas, que es aquel portafolio de iniciativas estratégicas que nos va a permitir que estos objetivos se conviertan en una realidad, que lleguemos a las metas que nos hemos planteado. Claramente, como ustedes conocen, pues esto ya implica una cantidad de información significativa, una cantidad de indicadores, de metas, de cifras, de seguimiento de iniciativas que ya nos van haciendo ver claramente la necesidad de contar con herramientas robustas que permitan tener de una manera efectiva este seguimiento a esta ejecución. Entonces, vamos a hablar un poquito de lo que significa esa ejecución de una forma muy rápida, porque usted lo conoce muy bien, para que empecemos a hablar y a entender realmente cómo es la herramienta que nos permite esto. Un elemento central de la ejecución tiene que ver con la alineación y entonces empezamos preguntándonos qué pasa cuando no hay alineación. Cada uno de ustedes en su propia experiencia, en sus compañías y como líderes de procesos como estos, entienden claramente que cuando no hay alineación, la organización trabaja de una manera independiente. No existe una conceptualización de estructura corporativa central que se baja a los distintos niveles, sino que cada área empieza a trabajar de una forma independiente, creando realmente silos de información. Uno de los elementos también que encontramos frecuentemente es que al no haber esta alineación hay una duplicidad de esfuerzos y por supuesto una falta de costo efectividad en todo lo que se hace en la organización de una manera significativa. No es claro para los distintos niveles de la organización cuáles son los objetivos estratégicos que tiene la organización y cuál es su contribución. Cuando se le pregunta a un gerente, a un empleado de nivel medio e incluso a nivel de directores cuál es su contribución con la estrategia, pues difícilmente la identifican porque cada quien piensa que la iniciativa es lo que su área respectiva tiene y no necesariamente una alineación con un mandato central. Por consiguiente, pues el concepto de trabajo equipo y el concepto de efectividad en la organización es muy limitado y no se presenta como debería ser. Entonces, aquí empezamos a hablar de la importancia que tiene esta alineación para que el resultado de la estrategia finalmente se traduzca en el cumplimiento de los objetivos esperados. Hay diferentes elementos que tienen que ver con este proceso de la estrategia y su alineación y empezamos a hablar por los tableros de área. No es suficiente, como lo repetimos siempre, que exista un tablero, un mapa estratégico de nivel central que guía la organización, sino que cada unidad de negocio, cada unidad operativa, cada parte fundamental del área de la organización tiene que tener su propio tablero, su propio mapa estratégico que le guíe y que, como ustedes saben muy bien, en su mayoría está compuesto por unos objetivos de nivel central, pero que también incluyen unos objetivos muy particulares a su área, a su función, a su contribución desde el punto de vista de negocio de compañía. A partir de tener estos tableros, estos mapas definidos por área, pues es fundamental que el desdoblamiento sea muy específico, es decir, que cada uno de los tableros a los distintos niveles tengan las definiciones de sus indicadores, de sus metas, pero por supuesto también de un portafolio de iniciativas específicas que al final del día es lo que va a permitir que se lleguen a los resultados del área que contribuyen finalmente con los resultados de organización. Debe existir un link, una conexión directa con lo que hace la organización en términos de operación, con sus procesos claves, con su estructura organizacional, es decir, con aquellos elementos que son los que determinan que la organización realmente se mueva en función de una estrategia definida. Siempre hacemos énfasis, además, y lo vamos a comentar enseguida, cómo las áreas de soporte, cómo el staff organizacional, cómo las áreas transversales, pues tienen que estar adecuadamente alineadas también con esta definición de objetivos para que la organización entonces trabaje de una manera armónica. Y eso es lo que vemos aquí en esta gráfica, en la cual claramente la organización define un mapa central, un tablero central, guía estratégico de organización, que es el que de alguna manera sirve de origen para que todo el desdoblamiento estratégico a los distintos niveles se efectúe. Típicamente existe un tablero de nivel central, un mapa estratégico de nivel central, que luego se desdobla a las distintas unidades de negocio, a las unidades estratégicas de apoyo y de allí a los distintos niveles gerenciales y de operación de la compañía para asegurar lo que llamamos una alineación absoluta vertical con los objetivos centrales definidos. Y existe el concepto también de la alineación vertical, horizontal, perdón, que se da cuando empezamos a desarrollar los proyectos que son transversales. Cada vez que vemos objetivos estratégicos de alto impacto, vemos que es más de una área la que se encuentra vinculada y entonces las distintas áreas participantes en estos proyectos que van a contribuir con los objetivos centrales, pues deben estar debidamente alineadas para asegurar que el resultado es óptimo tal y como se está esperando. Cuando logramos esto, entonces decimos que la organización está alineada con una definición estratégica en sus distintas unidades, en sus distintos niveles, incluso hasta el nivel de los objetivos individuales de desempeño que particularmente los líderes y los primeros niveles tienen que tener en la organización. Y aquí entonces hacemos un comentario breve sobre lo que ya significa gestionar ese proceso de una estrategia en ejecución, de una ejecución actuante. Y comentamos la oficina de la gestión de la estrategia y su rol clave en la organización. Ustedes que han trabajado con nosotros durante ya un tiempo importante, pues conocen muy bien, algunos son líderes de estas áreas de estrategia en las organizaciones y entienden que realmente el rol es significativo en asegurar que esa ejecución y toda esa información que se deriva de la ejecución de la estrategia, pues realmente sea un elemento decisorio para la organización en la cual el liderazgo de la empresa se fundamenta para tomar las decisiones a que haya lugar. Esta oficina, además de manejar el proceso en sí mismo, pues coordina todo lo que significa que las distintas áreas estén alineadas con esa estrategia definida. Reporta directamente al equipo directivo, en algunos casos al consejo de administración, precisamente para dar esa perspectiva amplia. Y a partir de este proceso, lo que se logra es que haya una comunicación directa, clara, oportuna y amplia para que cada quien en la organización sepa cuál es el avance, cómo va la estrategia y eventualmente cuáles son las decisiones que se tienen que tomar. Decisiones que muchas veces tienen que tener, por ejemplo, con reasignación estratégica de recursos, porque una definición original de asignación de recursos puede ir variando en función de los resultados de negocio e incluso en función de la evaluación que va teniendo la propia estrategia definida por la organización. Y este es un tema central que se hace en las reuniones de RAES, las reuniones de análisis de estrategia, que ustedes conocen muy bien, que tienen por objeto la toma de decisiones, el asegurar la evolución y la ejecución de la estrategia, pero también la retroalimentación que sobre ella se tiene que utilizar. Y aquí es donde decimos que, por ejemplo, la utilización de una plataforma tecnológica es fundamental porque lo que permite es manejar toda la cantidad de información, ponerla de una manera tal que esté disponible, que permita la toma de decisiones y además que sea ilustrativa para la organización de una manera integral. En conclusión, antes de darle paso a Ted, diríamos que un proceso de alineación estratégica es clave para que la organización llegue a los resultados. Debe gestionarse no solo de manera vertical, sino de manera transversal para asegurar que las distintas áreas involucradas participan y dan el valor agregado que se requiere. Todo esto se hace a través de la definición de mapas estratégicos de distintos niveles para asegurar que hay una adecuada concatenación, asignación de recursos y sobre todo generación de sinergias al interior de la organización. Como mencionamos, la Oficina de la Gestión de la Estrategia pues es el área líder en la organización que no solo monitorea, sino que además hace que sea un proceso viviente y existente en la organización de tal manera que realmente alimente el proceso de toma de decisiones de la organización. Eh, Claramente estos procesos exigen que haya una plataforma tecnológica que facilite el proceso, que lo actualice, que permita tomar decisiones y que esté permanentemente disponible. Así que lo que queremos hoy es que Ted Jackson, que es pues un gran aliado de nuestra organización desde hace muchos años y quien es el cofundador de ClearPoint Strategy, una de las compañías líderes en procesos de generar herramientas como esta, pues nos actualice en qué ha pasado con esta herramienta que la mayoría de ustedes conocen, cuáles son las últimas noticias. Simplemente para recordarles a ustedes, Ted es cofundador de ClearPoint Strategy y cuenta con más de 25 años de experiencia ayudando a las organizaciones a mejorar su rendimiento mediante una gestión estratégica y eficaz. Se especializa en lograr una ejecución estratégica más eficiente, transparente y eficaz. Hoy nos va a compartir cómo ClearPoint puede contribuir en estos procesos de ejecución estratégica en la organización, cuáles son las últimas noticias y cómo vemos la herramienta hacia adelante de la forma como nos puede ayudar. So, let me transfer to English. Once again, Ted, good morning. Thank you for being with us today. And we are really very happy to have you with this important group to update what is happening with ClearPoint Strategy, what are the latest news, and what can we expect from this excellent tool. So once again, Ted, thank you very much and welcome to this webinar. I will let you present your PowerPoint.
Yes, Francisco, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I am going to share my screen and just share everything in ClearPoint. So hopefully you can see my screen today, and tell you a little bit about ClearPoint, show you around. I have a short plan, but I would also be happy to take questions along the way and at the end. So as Francisco said, we've been running this organization for really 17 years, and for 10 years prior to that, I worked with Doctors Norton and Kaplan in a strategy consulting firm. And so what I'm going to show today is ClearPoint, and we're calling it ClearPoint Next. So the next iteration of ClearPoint, and we have it ready for all of our clients. Can get into it now, and it will be 100% complete by this summer. So I'm giving you a little bit of a preview, but you will see that it works extremely well. So let me orient you to what you're seeing on the page. This is a web-based application where I'm showing you a landing page for a fake airline called Upward Air. And they have a mission and values, and they have a full scorecard. So this one's organized like a balanced scorecard, but you could have any type of strategy framework that you want with my categories or my perspectives, my objectives, my measures, and my initiatives for my financials, for my customer, for my processes, and down in learning and growth. So a true Norton Kaplan balanced scorecard. And if we look at one of the areas, this is an objective. So to increase shareholder value, we can see I have analysis and recommendations. I have an owner and some collaborators or team members on the project or supporting this objective. And then I have some key measures or KPIs, indicadores, that would tell me whether I'm making progress with my objective. I can see the alignment across my organization. So here, not only do I have a corporate airlines, but I have many divisions, and most of our clients, may have 10 divisions and 100 departments underneath it. So it can manage as many, the alignment across your entire organization. And then I have initiatives as well. And just to give you an idea, the measures or the KPIs, we have charts for them, and we have data tables associated with them. And in our data tables, we can have calculations and evaluations, your standard red, yellow, green, I'm above target, caution, I'm below plan. And we can load data in automatically, we can run calculations, and we can build any type of chart that you want. And I will show you many examples of these as well. And then beneath that, we have initiatives or our projects. So our projects are driving our performance, right? So if we look at a project, it's a little bit different. It has a Gantt chart or start and end dates and percent complete. And we can have analysis here, as well as all of our milestones or key steps in the projects along the way. These milestones would show up in my Gantt chart as well. So just what Francisco was describing for a complete strategy management system, we can have our goals, our KPIs, our projects, and they can be aligned throughout the organization. But one of the things that's important for managing strategy and why you will ultimately need software for it is because this is really complicated in Excel and PowerPoint, because you're asking different people to make updates, you're trying to build a report, you're trying to keep the data all up to date. So I'd like to show you the way an end user or an individual who manages 3 to 5 measures or a couple of KPIs might interact with their information. And for that, we have a place called a workspace. And so a workspace is where one of my measure owners or my project owners would spend most of their time in ClearPoint. They can see the items that you have asked them to make updates for. So in this case, 3 objectives and 3 measures. They can also see if they've received any notifications or if they have been mentioned or they're communicating with other people in the organization. I'll show you that in just a second. And any exports or any briefing books or individual pages that they would like quick access to. So imagine you are a reporter in your organization. You've been asked to update these 6 items. You've already updated 5 of the 6. So we can see 5 of the 6 are completed here. And it's just this revenue is not updated yet. So I come into revenue. I see something similar with my data. I showed you this earlier. And the data is not the problem. It's my analysis and my recommendations. They're really just too simple. So I need to update them. So I double click to make an update. In this case, I would like to use AI to look at the data. So I would say, could you analyze the data for me? And there we go. So it can write in some analysis. It would read the data for you, write in the analysis. I could say in Spanish, please. And it will translate this to Spanish for me. And I can just copy that and paste it in. I don't need the additional AI question here. For my recommendations, I can say, make a few recommendations for me. It's going to say, based on what I've seen in your measure, here are the things that I would recommend you do. I'm always very nice to my AI, so I always say please and thank you for it. And then I can hit save. I have my my information here, and I'm happy with where I am. So I can mark this as complete. And now I've completed all of my tasks. So I get internet confetti, the ultimate reward for a knowledge worker. But this makes it very, very easy for my users to make updates with the strategy. And we know that's one of the biggest challenges when we're updating our strategy is that we typically, a strategy touches all parts of the organization. So you're reaching out to 10, 12 people, per scorecard or per level in your organization. So it ends up being a lot of work. If I wanted to, if I was back on that revenue, I could also communicate with other people in the organization. So I could reach out to people using mentions, reach out to Greg and say, please review my recommendations. And when I send this note out to Greg, Greg is going to receive it as a Teams message, as an email. And if Greg was in ClearPoint, he would receive an alert as well. I am also logged in as Clarice, but just to show you, so this conversation looks like I'm talking to myself. But the reason why I'm putting this in here is because this is another notification. So you can see that I get a comment or a notification, and in my workspace, I can refresh this. And I can see here, I can see my mentions. So where someone mentions me by name, I will have in one particular place, I can see everything. So it makes it really easy for you to communicate with your end users or your reporters, your strategy analysts, your project managers, your objective owners, your leadership team, and pull all of that information together in one place. Now, of course, if you are the manager and want to know how your reporting process is coming along, we do have a workflow tracker. So we can track everyone in the organization that we've asked to make an update. And we can see, they've only made one of their updates. I can nudge them or send them an email and tell them, hey, be sure to get your updates in. We've only received, 58% of our updates. We're not quite ready for our overall report to the management team, that briefing book that we want to send out. And there are many more features for a manager, the Office of Strategy Management, for example. Let me show you some. First, related to one of the items that Francisco was talking about in the introduction, is it is important to have alignment across your organization. So you could see your goals here, as well as all of your departments and how their goals link and align. And so this might look nice, but then when you look at the measures, you could say, well, we are not tracking things the same way in all of our departments. So maybe we could improve the way that we track information. And even more importantly, if we look at our initiatives or our projects, we could see that there are many opportunities to save money because not all of our projects in each department are aligned. One of the organizations we work with in the United States is actually a Native American tribe called the Choctaw Nation. And just doing this alignment, they were able to save several $1 million by looking at projects that they could consolidate into a single project. So there are real opportunities here when you look for alignment across your organization. I'm going to show two more things. I think many of you that might use ClearPoint will be really excited about some of these things because they're new ways to view and manage information in ClearPoint. So I'm going to first take another look at our goals and see, we call this the Explorer view. So be able to see how information relates to that simple goal, like increase shareholder value. I can open it up and see that I have 3 measures that link to this goal or objective. I have 1 initiative, and I can see the progress of my milestones. And I can see I have several risks associated with this initiative and a goal in each of my divisions that relates to this main project, right? My main objective at the top. And if I wanted to create more alignment, or I could look at additional measures that might affect shareholder value, let's say my number of tickets with direct routes, I can just drag it out and link it this way. And now I can see I have another measure that is associated with this project. So it's a very nice, easy way to drag and drop to show how your strategy works as a whole, right? So the strategy map is one approach. These alignment matrices and this explorer view is another view that you can use as well. For our measures or our KPIs, I can have a full dashboard showing me all of my measures, right? And you can see there are a variety of different chart types that we have in ClearPoint. Just while I'm thinking about it, all of ClearPoint can also be viewed in dark mode if you feel that's better for your eyes. But we have this view for information can be done just our charts. We can view just all of our measures in a list mode, and I can add additional columns like my analysis. I could remove my tags or collaborators. I could drag out my analysis if I wanted more spacing here. Could make it easier to see my analysis. But then I could also view all of my measured data in one place. So here I can pull out, let's say I'm reporting on a quarterly basis. I could look at, let's go back in time, I think I would view in September, in June, in March. Now I can see my whole year of data and how I'm doing. And I can export that to Excel, and I could import. So those of you that use ClearPoint, of course, you could use the data loader, but this is just another simple way to export and import data directly into ClearPoint. And then on the initiatives also while we're here, we could filter any information that we want. So I can have my standard views just to show me everything that is off track. And the way that filter works is, let me just make it bigger. It's pretty easy to read. If the status is below plan, okay, that makes sense. Let's add an additional feature or filter, and my owner equals Clarice, because I can see I own a few things. And now I can just build my filters to get all of the information that I need in one place. And we can filter on all types of information. So it's just a really nice capability there. And then finally, on the project side of things, we've added a Kanban board, and you can build the Kanban boards however you want. So if you wanted to restructure this more like a marketing campaign, so what are my ideas, what's in execution, what's under review. This is more of a traditional, project. Whoops. Let me go back to my traditional review. So these are my projects. Which ones are under review or submitted, under review, approved, and rejected? I can now drag and drop items throughout. You can put Kanban boards also for your KPIs or other elements as needed. There are a lot of interesting ways to do it. This is one of the easier ones to think about. And they would also show up. I could add it as a column here as well. So what's under review here, these are the same elements that if I wanted, let me just make it easier for you to see. The same thing, is it submitted? Is it under review? Is it approved? Etc. So we can use this as a really nice way to be able to track all of my projects, how they're doing. I could export all of this information as well. And so finally, last item, these exports, just like before, I can have different briefing books for my finance team, for my board, or for my project report, and all of these items would export out, into documents for your team to review, and they could go out to the various parties. So ClearPoint can be your centralized place for managing your strategy at the enterprise level and all of your department levels as well. And if you're a current user of ClearPoint, you could always switch back to that classic view of ClearPoint as well, which looks very similar, but we just have a slightly more modern interface with ClearPoint Next. So I'm going to stop talking here. Take any questions. Happy to show you anything else in the application.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. And let me open for questions from our audience. Anyone with a question for Ted?
Yes, I do. Hi, Ted. Congratulations for the new layout that you have on ClearPoint. And it's very, very helpful that you have an AI, something that helps you to write down, what's needed and whatever. But I have a question regarding the initiatives. Okay. Once you were working with one of them and putting 6 to 6 or 5 to 5 or whatever, and it updates the initiative. Is that a new thing that happens with ClearPoint, that you don't have to do it and put the advance of the initiative by hand? Let's say I have an initiative that starts today and will be ending by September. And I have to put the advance of the initiative by hand, saying I have the 40%, 60%, whatever. Or the ClearPoint makes it automatically based on the information that we put into ClearPoint.
So there are many ways you can determine your percent complete of an initiative. Some people like to take their milestones, or what are we working on, and say the percent complete of these milestones, I want to roll up to the overall initiative. So if I have 5 or 6 milestones, let me find one that might be a little bit bigger than this one. So if I have all of these milestones, I could say, based on what percent complete they are, let's build the overall percent complete of the project. And the way we do this is similar to the measured data table. So we could put the milestone percent complete automatically into a data table, and then we would build a calculation that would say the average percent complete of all of your milestones would become the average percent complete of the initiative. That's if you're tracking your initiatives by average percent complete of your milestones. Other people, a common government way of tracking percent complete is what percent complete of your spending have you done? we know that that might not reflect, did you make the progress, but a different way of looking at it. We would also have a data table that could track your budget versus your spending and show your percent complete of spending and automatically calculate your percent complete of your project.
Okay.
And then more people like to just manually do it because neither of those captures the quality of the work, right? You know, we could build something, you know, that would be very much over budget, and we could build something that would be low quality. So tracking, we try to give as much flexibility into the way you might track your projects, but you can do it automatically, and then you can also have your results roll up to your goal as well. So your projects and your KPIs could have an influence automatically on your objective.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
So
you, Manuel.
if I understood correctly, you would have to upload manually the main data first, right? And then the system would do the calculations automatically.
Yes, you could do your use the data loader to load
Yeah.
in data, or the API to load in data about your projects. So it was just a matter of, let me go back to the other one. This data table here can have, I mean, the gray areas are the calculations. The white areas in this case are manually loaded, but they could be automatically loaded using our data loader or the API.
Okay.
Thank you, Maribel. Any more
Great.
questions?
You can still personalize this to your company's image, right, Ted?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All of the, I mean, all of the,
Like the columns, colors, whatever data you want to show. Yeah.
yes, you can do all of that completely. I mean, in the current version of ClearPoint, we have in the system setup what we call styles, right? Where you can create the different colors and styles that you would like.
Mhm.
In the future version of ClearPoint, what we're doing is again letting you completely personalize it, but we're giving a primary and secondary color and then 5 accent colors. And that's going to allow ClearPoint to look a lot more cohesive. It would still look very much like your organization, but it's going to give it a nice consistent look. So take your organization's 5 main colors and 2 primary colors, and you're going to be able to work well in a world where, let me just go back to the homepage here, where I can also go to this dark mode, and my highlights, you can see it's just slightly highlighting this. They're going to show up appropriately. My accent colors of the orange in here are still going to work in a nice, clean way.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maribel. Ted, what can we expect in the near future from this great tool?
So we're doing several interesting things from just an automation standpoint. Is we're trying to leverage AI in, let's say, 3 different areas. One is for help, like just I'm trying to add a new department, right? Or I'd like to add a year-to-date series for all of my measures. I was doing everything monthly, but now I want a year-to-date calculation for all of my measures. Well, today you would have to, run a script or do it manually, and we're trying to have it so AI will be able to allow you just to say what you would like, and it will help do the task for you, to help make it quicker and easier for you, and to solve problems for you. Like how would let's go back where the classic version where we know what we have. In today's world, you could ask a new question. Oops, I just went past it, but I can do it here. I can ask a question. Well, how do I create a year-to-date calculation? And our AI can read the help documentation and tell you exactly how to do it. And in the future, we would like to say, do it for me. And then it would just do the calculation for you directly. So that's an easy way to lean into AI. We currently, a second way is, and you saw it in my earlier demo, to help you with the analysis and help you with your recommendations. And it can do that for your projects as well. It can even build a project plan for you for a new project. And then the third way we're looking is to do, let me show you a simple example of it right now, is I can analyze my entire strategy, right? So I can say, summarize my entire strategy. And so for those of you that worry about quarterly reporting or monthly reporting, and you ask everyone in your department to write out the strategy, you can just add this directly into ClearPoint here for you. It looks like it is. I ran into a hiccup in this demo account. Let me see if I can get it to run just a quick exception report. So it can write like, okay, here are the challenges for you. I can copy that conversation directly into the application. Yeah, just really quick. Here it is. I now have my executive summary of what happened this quarter or this reporting period. So this is available today. What we're hoping to do in the future is to expand that capability, right? You've now been using ClearPoint for 3 years. I can see how your results have been performing over that period of time. And in every department that reports in ClearPoint, you can start to interact with AI, but what you're really doing is interacting with your strategy. So you can say, are there conflicts with any of my projects? It says, oh yes, I can see this project over here and this project over here. There's an opportunity to align those projects together. Or I can, can you tell me more about, where I'm constantly underperforming? Yes, in your sales department, you are underperforming. I can see it one quarter after the next. Maybe you're setting your targets too high. Maybe there's, some other problems that you're running into. You can even ask it, what should I set my targets at next year? Assuming that I'm not, assuming my performance is consistent. It says, oh, well, you've been setting targets at 12% improvement. I think you should set them at 8% because you're constantly underperforming. Or maybe it looks like one department is sandbagging their targets, meaning they set their targets too low so they can always overperform. You have an opportunity to raise your targets, and that might change your overall business model. It might give you the opportunity to invest more in other parts. So we're doing all of this within the confines of your particular instance. We're not training any AI tools, but we're just trying to leverage the capability of seeing and knowing your strategy over many years gives us an opportunity to do a lot more.
Well, that's great. It seems that it's going to be a very interesting and additional added value from considering all the historic performance information and everything. So,
right.
Great, thank you. Any more questions?
Yes, Ted. If I have a customer that hasn't been able to complete the strategy or have the solution software, to follow up or continue updating the strategy, and they contract your solution, ClearPoint. How long does it take him to be able to work with the application, not as you are doing it right now, but just to be able to have the ability to use the AI, to have the ability to update the data and you know everything in order for them to start using them and exploring them to follow the strategy.
Right. So typically, if you have a strategic plan and it's in Excel, for example, if it's well structured, we can load that plan directly into ClearPoint. And then you would then be up and running within 30 days, right?
Okay.
If you do not have a plan or your plan is not ready yet, you have the opportunity to use an AI assistant to help you build that plan. And so, for example, you could think of any of the major strategy frameworks, whether it's Balanced Scorecard or the Entrepreneurial Operating System or the V2 MOM framework, you know, value disciplines. You could build one for Coca-Cola. And what it's going to do, let's say, yes. And I'm not going to, I know we're running out of time, right? But because it has access to the internet, it can say, is this Coca-Cola? You say, no, just Coke Mexico. And you can interact with it, right? So here's where Coke Mexico is about. Say yes. And because I asked it for a balanced scorecard, it explains what a balanced scorecard is. And then starts, you know, you could ask, you know, tell it what your goals are. Dominate fresh fruit market, which is completely different from what Coke's was. But then it starts building this strategy for you, right? So most people do not need to start from zero, right? They have something.
Right.
And so these look like one-line areas, but we've seen people cut and paste in their 40 objectives and ask for help for measures. You know, I'm not sure how to measure this thing. What can I do? Or, you know, I need some help with my projects, and they put in where they are today. So I know it sounds like I'm really leaning too much into AI. But to answer your question is, if you already have a plan, we can get you up and running in 30 days. If you have kind of heart of something, we have the tools to help you complete that so that you can be ready to go. The 30 days is easy for the manual entry. If you wanted to start loading data in automatically, you know, you need a little bit of time to make sure you can structure your data appropriately to link it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So that's great, Ted. Thank you for all your answers for our interesting questions. So I believe it's already 10, so we can finish now. Thanks again for being with us and presenting this great tool and what we will have in the future with that.
Yes, my pleasure. And thank you for having me. You know, we can get all of your users into ClearPoint if in the next version to see it, even if they have the current version today.
Excuse me,
Thank you very much, Ted.
I had another question. I don't know if you have
Sure,
few more minutes.
absolutely.
Okay, I wanted to ask Ted about risk management. If they still have that option, and if how we can use the tool to be able to manage risk.
No, good question. I'm working with one organization in the US. They're a utility, a power generation company, and they are using our risk capability in ClearPoint. It's like objectives, measures, projects. We have risk. they've created a risk register, meaning they show all of their risk. They have 84 risk, and then they have a risk score that is automatically calculated based on the impact, the likelihood, the velocities, like how fast this risk, would unfold. They calculate these together to create a risk score. Then they have a risk mitigation strategy. They use several fields for this. So they use a free text field to talk about their plan, but then they have a drop-down list to talk about how capable they are for their risk, how prepared they are for it. And then they take all of these risks and they put them in themes or groups. So they have like 10 different groupings for their risk. Is this an operations risk for them? Is there a power supply problem? I'm sure many of you have read if in the US, when we go AI crazy, we're now building data centers everywhere, and we're trying to use more power than we ever have rather than conserve power. So power availability is a big issue for them. And so they have one of those categories, they link the risk to those categories, and then they build KPIs that look at the risk. So they can say how many risks are in each category, what is my average risk score for the risks that are in this category. So now I can see in my categories, which ones are my biggest risk problem and what are the types of risks that are in there. So you can do all of that in ClearPoint just by leveraging risk and adding the automatic data table capability and structuring it.
But still, this is another section, or it could be connected to your balance scorecard.
Yes, I will share my screen again. Where's my screen? So it is an element here, like risk. So objectives, measures, initiatives, risk, and then this particular risk. For example, I could have an impact mitigation strategy, the approach, and then this risk can be linked to anything in ClearPoint, right? So it can be linked to my KPIs, just by checking a box. This risk will impact multiple KPIs. And if I then know that back on my risk page, I could, so this is similar. Impact times probability equals the rating, but I could just change the layout on the screen, show my measures. I can see the measures that are associated with this risk, and I could go to one of those measures. And then the same thing here, just changing the layout. I could add risk. And see that there's a risk associated with this measure as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Once again, thank you, Ted, and thank you everybody for participating in this webinar.
Okay.
Muchas
Gracias.
gracias a todos. Tendremos nuevas oportunidades de conversar acerca de la ejecución y las herramientas para facilitarla. Buen día, Ivette. Buen día a todos.
Thank you, Ted. Nice to
Gracias.
meet.
Bye.
Nice to see you
Thank you,
again.
Ted.
Gracias. Yes. Great to see you. Adios.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.